Yo. This dude said some shit to me just the other day, and I have got to tell you guys about it because to me, this is karma. This is what goes around comes around, and it's not a good thing. I'm gonna tell you up front, this is not a good thing, but maybe we can fix it. I'm Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, pass it on to all your friends and family, and drop us a positive comment in the comment section. If you have time, please stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to read 2 positive comments and respond to them from previous videos. If you want a reading, if you want Ask an Aquarius merchandise, if you want to join my Patreon, or if you want to hit me up on social media, all of that information is underneath every video, okay? So let's talk about what Homeboy said. I was just like, you know what? He said to me, he inboxed me, and he said, Queen, I have a question. And I said, okay. You know, people say that to me all day. So I said, okay. And the ones that are really good or really interesting, I use to make a video. Or the ones that irk me, like this one. So he said, I have a question for you. I said, shoot. And he said, I want to know, and this is how I wrote it down because I had to read it to you. He said, women seem to be more heartless nowadays. What is really going on? And I'm going to tell you the reason why this irked me. Because I asked him to elaborate on what he meant by women seem to be heartless. Like, what do you mean? He said women seem to be heartless, and he went on to talk about how some women have left their kids, like, you know, straight up left them with the father, left them with the grandmother, things like that. He went on to talk about how some women are sleeping with multiple people. He went on to talk about how some women are so quick to be what he called gold diggers. He went on and on and on about all these different behaviors of women basically doing things that he felt as though is more rampant now than it was 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. And he said he didn't understand. And he said that more women are not getting married, which I have noted myself. More women are not having kids or having less kids. And less women are willing to be in commitments. Apparently the marriage rate was at like 53% and is steadily declining. And some of this is because obviously men, but he said also a lot of women aren't even trying to get married. That's not even their goal for some of them. Now, personally, I'm old school. So me and all my friends, at this point, maybe not as far as marriage is concerned. Some of us are open to it. Like, I'm still open to it, you know. But we, you know, it is what it is, you know. So basically, he said to me he doesn't understand it because it's not just coming from, you know, women that are my age. This is coming from women who are 20 and 21, you know. And when I was a young girl, all the young girls wanted to get married. So he's like, he doesn't understand what happened. Now, why was I irritated with this question? Because this is not a bad question or a hard question or an unreasonable question. But the reason why I'm irritated with this question is because he's acting like he has no idea why women have become this way. And the more and more I look at the present, and you know I'm a lover of history, so I look at the past. The more and more I look at the present and I look at the past, the more and more it seems to me that this is something that is a response. It's not like women just want to be heartless and women just want to not have kids and they want to just be, you know, independent and wear the pants. This is a response. And a lot of men are not capable, especially this man, is not capable of comprehending that. Because when I tried to explain it a little bit to him, I didn't go in deep like I'm going in now. But when I gave him a little bit, he tried to, basically, he asked me the question. I gave him a little bit of what I thought, and then he came off like what I thought was totally ludicrous. So I stopped talking to him. Discontinued the conversation, but I'm going to tell you guys what I was going to say. Number one, from looking at the present tense and from looking at history, and from being a young girl at one time myself who was idealistic and had the biggest pair of Rosalie colored glasses, I can tell you what happened. Women are responding to men or women, because some women are in relationships with women, were responding to bad treatment. That's what all of this is about. This is not about women changing or the times have changed us or anything like that. This is a response. Because if you look back in history, and this is only in this particular culture, I'm only going to talk about American culture because different things happen in different cultures. But looking at American culture and looking at the truth about history, looking at the infidelity, looking at the abuse of women, women were just recently allowed rights. You do realize we just got them in the 1900s, literally. We just got rights to vote. We just got rights to own property, to be on a jury, to be able to own companies. For a long time, a woman had no rights. So if you look back in history and you look at this our demographic, we have been treated in such a way that we're second-class citizens. Over the past, I'm gonna say 100 years, we've made a lot of leeway. So now we can vote. Now we can have custody of our kids. A lot of things have changed for the better. But my point of the matter is that over the years of abuse, not having rights, constant infidelities, I mean, think about this for yourself. Don't think about this time period. Think about your elders. Think about your aunties, your dad, your grandparents. How many of them had healthy relationships? And I'm not just talking about a healthy relationship in general, but how many of the women were in happy, healthy relationships? Because when I look back at the women in my family, because my family has more women than men. My grandmother had 13 children. She was with my grandfather to the day that she died. But my grandmother and my grandfather both had multiple affairs. That was known. It was known. It was known throughout the family. Then I look at my aunts and uncles. Very similar behavior. None of my family members are with the spouse that they started off with when I was born. Almost all of them, except for, I remember one, I was her flower girl and she's still married to the same person. And I was like 4 back then. So we're talking about a 39-year marriage. But for the most part, out of all them 13 kids that my grandmother had, all you see is that same energy of infidelity going on. So I'm not going to say that, women were these perfect creatures. What I'm saying is that we didn't have any power for a very long time. And we dealt with a lot of abuse for centuries. Okay? So what you're seeing in the present tense is a response. It's a response to that. Because now women who are my age and younger grew up in these dysfunctional ass families. And we saw this kind of stuff happen. So we went the opposite direction. So instead of being submissive, we became independent. Instead of getting married, we started taking care of ourselves. Instead of getting knocked up by some dude and he run off, we get artificially inseminated. Women have started to take control of their lives. And some of the times this is in a positive way, and some of the times it's not. Now, I told you this is a problem and we can fix it. Why is this a problem, you would think? Like, this should be a good thing. It's good for women to get rights. It's good for women to be a little bit more independent and not have to depend on their husbands and fathers and boyfriends economically and in other ways. That's actually a really good thing. Even if they're just contributing to the household, that's good. But the reason why this is not so good overall is because it's taking us further away from each other. And that's what I don't like about it. Because instead of falling in love with somebody, instead of having a family with somebody, instead of at least trying to have something real with somebody, more and more of us, women and men, that's why they said the marriage rate is going down. More and more of us are choosing not to. And for me, it's just a tragedy. I would rather see us treat each other better in our relationships than just stop dealing with each other like that. I got a bad feeling that in 300 years, the marriage rate gonna be like 10%. You know, that's my fear. My fear in this happening is that slowly but surely, because of this response to trauma, because of this response to a lack of rights, I feel like women are going to go further in the opposite direction. And what happens is that when this occurs, societies break down. Family is the backbone of the society. So if our communities fall apart, if our families, if women stop having babies, our birth rates go down. This is happening right now in South Korea. I know a lot of people in South Korea, and one of the things that they're dealing with as a social issue is the lack of babies being born. And over there is different, according to what they tell me, is some of the same stuff happen there, and then there's other factors too. But when we shift back over to the United States, what we see is that as the relationships start to become less and less, the babies start to become less and less, and we will eventually have that problem that they have in South Korea with the birth rate. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is two things. Number one, I'm saying that the women, and this isn't all women, because there are some young girls I meet, because remember, we are socialized to be mothers and wives. From the time that we're 2, we're given a doll baby and pretend like that's your baby. Then they give you an easy bake oven. They give you a little make-believe kitchen. Girls get a make-believe kitchen for Christmas, and boys get a bicycle. You know, I've never seen a little boy get a make-believe kitchen for Christmas. You know, we are from little toddlers, we're trained to be wives and mothers. So a lot of us are still going to want to get married. A lot of us are still going to want to have kids. But I feel like it's going to become fewer and further between as the generations go on. And I think it's a response to that trauma. And I think that being as though it's a response to patriarchy, is up to all of us, not just males, because women perpetuate patriarchy too. So I think that it's up to all of us to shift how we behave, how we treat each other, and then come back together instead of being like, look, I ain't dealing with y'all, it's just too hard. Because that's what's happening. Now, I understand these women. I understand these men, because there are certain men that choose that too. I understand that. But it's not like women are just so heartless. Nah, brother. Think about your mother. Think about how many times your grandmom got dogged. Think about how many times the women in your neighborhood was fighting over some dude that was screwing them both. Think about the times that a woman had to fight harder to get custody of her, history, had to fight harder to get custody of her kids, you know, because her husband was whoever he was and she was just a woman. It's a response to trauma. It's a response to the lack of rights. It's a response to being dogged. And finally, women are just like, you know what? I ain't got to do none of this. One of my friends posted a meme the other day, and it said, at my age, if we're going to do something, you need to let me know because I got shit to do. And that's the attitude a lot of women are taking. And I'm sad about it personally, because I'm happy that these women are getting rights. Us women are getting rights. I'm happy that we're getting more independence. I'm happy that we're taking control of our lives. I'm happy that less of us are allowing ourselves to be dogged. I know so many people my age that their father has more than one family. At the same time, he made, Voldemort had this situation, but he's not the only one. I've heard this over and over again. But basically, he was saying to me that his father had another woman. Had two families. He was going back and forth between the two families. The kids didn't know, of course. He had two families going back and forth between the two families. Named the kids the same names. So it's two of them. It's two Voldemorts, and then his brother is two of them, and it's two, and I'm like, oh my God. So this happened in a lot of families. I have a cousin I'm not going to say if it's my mother or my father's side, but I got a cousin, and my cousin don't know she got a little sister. I know her, but my little cousin doesn't know her. So these are the kind of things I'm talking about. And I'm not saying that women are these perfect creatures who never did anything wrong. I'm just saying that because these things happen, women are starting to say, you know what? Fuck this. And I'm cool with the fuck this. I'm with y'all on that. But I don't think that just saying I'm not going to deal with them, especially if you're heterosexual. If you're not heterosexual, you got an option. But if you're heterosexual and just saying, okay, I'm not going to deal with them, or being, bi or gay and just being like, I'm going to mess with women, but really still having that same distance. Because even in some of those relationships, I can see the trauma of those old relationships play out in those relationships. So my thing is, I think we should definitely continue to look at our rights. And for instance, women are not paid the same amount that a man is paid for the same job. Now, if he do more work, I'm cool with him getting a few extra dollars. But if I'm balling up paper and he's balling up paper at the same rate, then we should get paid the same amount. Period. That's just common sense. So I think that when we can do stuff like that and make things more better in that spectrum, make the equal rights for women more better, I think that then we'll see a difference as far as like, can we come back together? That's what I want. I don't want people to just be like, okay, relationships don't work, I don't care no more. That breaks my heart to think of the end of romance. The death of families, the end of love. That really does break my heart. Either heterosexual or any kind of sexual. I want to see, like I said, families are the backbone of the community. So I think that we need to fix things and then find ways to come back together. That's what I would like to see. And so why do women seem heartless now? It's a response to trauma. And it can be worked out. It can be healed and it can be fixed if we all simultaneously choose to work on it. Now let's check out some positive comments. I got one from B. B said, when I care, I'm not valued. When I don't, they don't want to leave me alone. Not caring makes people respect you. I'm not forcing anything. So she says when she cares that people don't give a shit. Me personally, I wouldn't be involved with people who didn't care. Yeah, when I care. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be involved with people who didn't value me not caring. So those are relationships that I would definitely rethink because that don't sound reciprocal to me. Sonia Dubois Romero said at the end of the day, it's only me and God. Yes, material things have never impressed me. I would live in a dirt shack as long as I was happy. I'm not lazy and I'm not scared of hard work. My dirt shack would be a palace. I agree with you 100%. At the end of the day, when I turn off the computer and I go in my room, it's just me and Goddess. That's very true. All right, guys, come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.